Now that we have the colors on our map classified, let's make this map as understandable as possible and get it ready for publication. The first thing we can do is to improve the readability of the legend, which is our little scale of buckets there. So the first thing I'd like to do is change the format for those numbers to be what they are, which is percent, and specifically tenths of a percent to make that clear. So including that decimal point. And you could put here a little overline on that. You could say unemployment rate, right? That's what that is. And I think that's all we're going to do on this tab. There are some other options, but we're just going to leave the rest of this as is, and click to the next sort of mini tab here, which is Annotate. This is where we're really going to add in some explanatory text. So here we'll just say U.S. unemployment rate as the headline. Description, you might have a full paragraph here. You could say data for March 2022, the latest available. Maybe that's what we want to do, but it could be a whole paragraph there if you wanted to. The notes are something you would include at the bottom. That may be something like note, data is preliminary and subject to change. I got that because if you look back at the original data, there's this P here, the P notation, and that P stands for preliminary, and it says that its estimates are preliminary and subject to change, so you might want to include that to be fully transparent there. The data source, who published it? It's the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. And you can see that adds the source line down here, which is important. Where did that come from? You can link that to the data source, which is here. So we can just grab this URL from the data source and put it in there. And that highlights that line so people can click to it. Who made it? I did. An alternative description for screen readers. This is where you might say something like a map of the United States colored by unemployment rate, showing California, Nevada, etc. You might describe that that they have the highest, some of the states with the lowest. You go ahead and fill that out for anybody who can't actually view this or is using a screen reader to see the map. And then there's a couple of other options here. You can show labels on the map. So if you wanted to add some of the cities to give people a sense of what they're looking at. You can actually include the state names. And the state names, remember, are in our data. So I can say click by column and choose the column state. And then I get all of these names. One thing I like to do is I use the 2-letter abbreviations for maps. For that's the style where I work, which would fit on here a lot better. If you had the 2-letter abbreviations as a column in the data, you could pick that column and it would just put those here. And you can see some of the states aren't labeled because we're preventing the overlap here, so that's okay. Maybe I'll just go back to the cities, just leave it like that, and we can even add more cities by turning this little value up, and so we get a few more cities. Let's see, yeah, now we get Seattle and some other ones here too. Great. And I think, there's one last thing I want to change on this page, and that's the tooltips. Tooltips are these little boxes with the unemployment rate number in it, but it's a little vague. It just has the number floating in there. So I can make that a little bit better by going in and customizing it. For example, here, this is the value for the state as the title, and then the column with the unemployment rate is that number that's floating there. And then I can add a percentage sign here, and I could say unemployment rate. So you can see that now the tooltips are a little bit more descriptive. Okay, so that's pretty good. A cool thing with Datawrapper is that they actually set this up so it works for mobile, and you can see what it will look like on mobile. And you get a couple different versions. And there's the desktop version. Okay, and then finally, we can go in here to layout. Pretty much everything here, I think, stays pretty much the same. One thing you might want to choose to do is you can turn off, see this get the data link, you can turn that off here if you wanted to. But might as well let people download the data. That will come from your what you uploaded. Obviously, they could go back to the source and get it, but this will download it as a CSV for folks, which is a nice thing to do. All right, and so we're going to proceed. Click here. And here we are. And we have this map that is ready to publish. If you click on Publish Now, a couple things happen. Datawrapper puts this on their servers and makes it so you can see it and share it. So here is the raw version of it. Here we can just click on that and see here's that map, but you probably wouldn't show it just like this. You'd probably embed it on a page, and Datawrapper gives you the code to embed that on your page. You can also download it as an image, so you can have that handy too. There you have it. You made your first map in this class. And it was pretty easy, right? I like using Datawrapper for making quick maps just to see what my data looks like, even if I don't go ahead and publish it. I can tell if there's a story there, if the data maps in a way that will explain things better, illustrate maybe a story that a reporter's working on. All of those things I can do pretty quickly in Datawrapper, again, even if I don't publish it. And it was made easy because I actually prepped the data for you and got everything ready, but it's not always perfect that way. And sometimes you have to work on your data a little bit so you can then map it. Next time I'll show you a little bit of that process, so when you run into it, you can navigate that too.